So as Nancy was saying, the dance industry, it's not for everyone. Yeah? College isn't for everyone. It's really like up to your kid, and it's okay, whatever they decide. And I know sometimes that's hard to hear as a parent. So, but we're going to, for the sake of this conversation, we're going to pretend that your child has decided to go to a college university for dance. So, what to consider before even thinking about going to school? Does your child know what they want to do? If they know they want to dance on Broadway, they should probably go to a school or college or dance program in New York or on the East Coast. Do they know they want to be a commercial dancer? And commercial dancer means, dancing in music videos, television, all of that. If they know they want to do that, they should probably be in Atlanta or California. Because why? Because you're making all of these connections in your college dance program, networking with professors, fellow students, to what? Get up and move. That happened to me. I went to school in Chicago, and then as soon as I was done, I moved to LA, and those connections were great while I was there, but then they're kind of useless when I went out here. Yeah, sure, a couple people came out here and we kept in contact, but for the most part, useless. But I also say, if your child doesn't know, it's okay. But if they know for sure, that's something to really take into consideration. And I know that's hard when they're 17, 18. Do I really want my kid to move, from Kansas all the way to the East Coast to be in New York? And that's hard because they are still at a young age, but college gives you that safe environment to grow and have a structured environment. So it's okay. That being said, if your dancer's like, I really just want to open a studio, I really want to be a teacher, is location as important? No. I would then suggest looking at, what does the program offer you? Do they have a pedagogy department? Do they have a choreography department? There's all these different things to look at, and each college program is going to be different for whatever your dancer's needs are. So, again, they don't have to know yet. So, big hitter questions I get year after year. Does my dancer need to have a dance degree to work in the industry? The answer is no. Absolutely not. If I go to an audition and somebody else goes to an audition, I have a college dance degree, and the other person next to me is more talented, they're going to hire the more talented person. My mom's always like, yeah, but you can fall back on it. But yeah, it's not going to work in performance. It might work in other aspects. I'll tell you, my college dance degree out here, especially out here in New York, when I'm going for teaching jobs, unless I have a direct relationship as a teacher, if I'm applying somewhere new, they're usually going to hire somebody who has a dance degree as a teacher. Because out here, there are 1 million dancers. There's 1,000 dancers out here trying to make it in the industry. Everybody wants a teaching gig. But do you know how to teach kids? So that's the only exception I say, and even then it's not true. Because Evan, who's one of the assistants, he teaches at Orange County Performing Arts Academy. He's 21, he's phenomenal, those kids are phenomenal, and he teaches there. That's the only instance where I'm maybe. Question in the back? Oh, no. Oh, okay. Yeah, stop me anytime if you have questions, otherwise I'm gonna just keep going. So my story, I always say this, when I was 18, I did not want to go to school. And I was ready to move to New York. I wanted to go to New York at the time when I was 18. And my mom essentially said, you're going to college because that's what I want you to do, or you're cut off. And it was point blank, and I grew up in the competition industry just like a majority of your kids. I was in the studio 5 out of 7 days a week. I had no money to my name. Yeah, I worked in the studio, but we all know that goes towards the dance bill. Goes off the dance bill, yes. So I didn't have enough money for 2 months' rent. I didn't have enough money to get to New York at all. So I had to end up going to school. Now, did I love my college dance experience? No. But there are many things and many factors I didn't look at that we're going to talk about right now as to why. So it's okay. So what type of dance programs are there? There's a BA, your Bachelor of Arts, or your Bachelor of Fine Arts. You can also minor. You can also double major if your program allows it. You can also, go for something totally different and take community classes or be on a dance team. I don't have any info on dance teams. I went to a private art school, so if you have questions about that, we'll figure it out together. Yes? So it's okay. So when should my dancers start looking at colleges? I would say if you're really serious about it, sophomore year is when you should start Googling things on the internet. Maybe your junior year, you get more serious about it, because your dancer's senior year in high school is when they're going to start auditioning. Auditions usually happen in the fall, October, November, and they usually go until February, March. It's very rare that they go later than that because they have to know how many kids are coming to their school for their freshman year for the whole college. That being said, all that specific information is going to be on their website. So do all colleges require an audition? 99% do. There's only a handful in the US, probably less than 10, where you can get accepted into a dance program and then you will just have a placement test. So you get accepted into the dance program, you go in for a placement test. They'll place you in, okay, she's a level 1 in ballet, she's a level 2 in modern, she's a level 3 in jazz. And that's kind of how they place it for those things. So what does a college audition look like? Every single college audition I went to, we had a full ballet class. We had a full modern class. And then this is where it kind of gets a little bit different. I had a full jazz class at one. I had a full West African class at one. I had a full solo at one. And then I had an interview at one. It all depends on what the colleges are looking at. But full ballet class, every single one. Full modern class, every single one. So this is like kind of where people don't really know this. But all but 5 colleges in the US are modern dance programs. Do we know what modern dance is? Just as your dancers take jazz, ballet, lyrical, contemporary, they have modern dance programs. So you're taking Cunningham, Horton, Graham, Cuban. These are all different styles under the modern umbrella. All but 5 colleges in the US are modern dance programs. Juilliard, modern dance program. Point Park University, modern dance program. Arizona State University, the big hitters, all modern dance programs. Not to say they don't offer jazz classes and hip-hop classes, but those are the modern dance programs. So what are the 4 or 5 that are? Yes. No, that's okay. Commercial dance is more like what you would see in an Ariana Grande music video. It's all the thrashy, hitty, all that sort of thing. Modern is like Hubbard Street, Stephen Petronio, Bill T. Jones. If you don't know these names, write them down and look them up. Netherlands Dance Project. It's all like concert style, if that makes any sense. Kind of like ABT, like American Ballet Theater, if they were to do a modern spin on that. Joffrey, they were to do a modern spin on that. And again, Horton, Graham, Cunningham, all these things, chances are they're going to be in your college auditions, even if you audition for a commercial program. So I always suggest get in like 3 modern classes before you step into a college audition, at least 3. So most people are interested in the commercial programs, and there are only 5, so I'm going to list those off for you. The first one is Pace University in New York City. It's run by Rhonda Miller. She used to dance for New York City Dance Alliance for years. It's phenomenal. Hussein College, which is here in LA, formerly known as Studio School. Hussein, Hussain College, formerly known as Studio School if you're looking things up, and formerly known as Relativity School. That's here in Los Angeles. The next one is AMDA, American Music and Dramatic Academy. I'm sure we've heard of this. Their marketing is everywhere. They have programs in New York and LA. The next one would be Oklahoma City University. They've had a really established program for years. It's a solid program, but it's also in Oklahoma. We just talked about if you know you want to do something, maybe location is a better idea. And the last one, it's not technically a full commercial program. However, majority of their dancers are commercial dancers, and they have a phenomenal program. It gets better and better every year, and it just opened up not too long ago. Chapman University here in LA. These are your top 5 commercial programs. So, regardless of style, regardless of what your dancer wants to do, how do you know if you're making the right decision for yourself? How does your dancer know they're making the right decision for them? 100%, I recommend this. This is what I did. A lot of schools have summer programs like this one. I went and lived on campus for 2 weeks for a college summer program, ate the meals they had, lived in the dorms, walked to campus, all those things. A lot of them have those. And a lot of them, if you do them, also can get college credit for those. I loved my experience, but I was like, you know what? This college isn't for me. It's only saving me time and money for when it comes time to actually enroll. If I was unhappy, I wasn't happy in my program. I almost did try to leave. And I wanted to leave, and I would have had to redo all 4 years because of my major. My gen eds would have transferred over, but my major, they required 4 years at the school I wanted to transfer to. But we'll get to that in a second. So, also, try to do those 1 a year. Sometimes they're long, sometimes they're short, but be careful because sometimes the colleges will rent out space to a different summer program, And then you're not actually learning from the faculty. You want to get a feel for the faculty. You want to get a feel for how is this going to look like in my day-to-day life. Again, I know it's a time and money investment at a younger age, but saving you time and money later on. Yes?
What age do they start those summer programs?
I know some that start as young as 12. Yeah, I would say 12 is the average. Next one, go see shows. If the colleges are local to you and they're driving distance, go see student shows and professor shows. A lot of times, colleges will bring in a professional dance company to work with your kids, and that's part of like the draw to that program. I'm bringing in professional companies to work with your kids. We're going to do a show. They're going to get master classes. And, sometimes people walk out of college with connections. But make sure you're going to see the student shows. Would my student be interested in this? Is my student interested in putting an 8-minute piece of work on stage with professional lighting and sound? Can my child create an 8-minute piece? And again, there's different programs. Some programs don't require you to put an 8-minute piece on stage. You might be required to do, teaching levels of 1, 2, and 3 and teaching in the community. So just something to consider. Also, last thing to help you decide if the school is right for you, go to open houses and talk to alumni. That's easily the easiest one to do. Connect with people online, all those things. I got a question yesterday about community college. Is community college a great choice? I say go for it. I'm all for it. But you have to look into the program specifically if your credits can transfer over. A lot of the colleges will use this as a selling point. We take any and all credits from any institution as long as they're credited. That's great, but is my math credit from my community college going to transfer over as my math credit into my 4-year? If not, they'll take it as elective credits, but great, I'm racked up a ton of elective credits from community college, and I still have to take all my gen eds. That also doesn't leave me time to double major or minor in those elective credits if I want to. Just making sure it transfers over and over. Again, some colleges, the one I wanted to transfer to, I would have had to start over 4 years in my major. Didn't want to do that. But that's just me. So somebody asked me a question. No? Yes. They're very rare compared to athletic scholarships. My school where I attended, there was 2. One for an incoming freshman and one for a continuing major. So it all depends on the school you're going to. People ask, what are my chances of getting into a college? It all depends on the size of the school. It also depends on location. UCLA is harder to get into than most colleges because it's located in Los Angeles and most people want to live here. It's going to be the same sort of situation for college dance programs. So also something to consider, what does a typical normal dance major schedule look like? I was in ballet 4 days a week, 9 a.m. for an hour and a half. After that, had a 10-minute break, went into modern 4 days a week for an hour and a half. On top of that, Monday through Thursday for those 2 classes, that counted as 4 credits. I did that every single semester. So dance majors have some of the hardest classes in terms of a schedule because you're in the studio all the time. On top of that, you have to fit in your gen eds, your major classes, and then if you're majoring or minoring. Also, this is very, very common across the board, no matter what your school's attendance policy is. For most dance programs, if you miss more than twice, doesn't matter what your grade is in the class, it would drop. If you were an A student, you miss a 3rd class, you're dropping from an A to a B. They can't tell if you are dancing in your room. Oh, I'm just, I'm tired. It can't happen. Yeah, you have to show up and be in class. Gen eds, it could be a different story depending on your school. Questions? Hit me. Yes. I got my BA in dance and minor in arts management. And I was required to be in school Monday through Thursday. I was originally going for my BFA. I wanted to go for my BFA in dance and with a concentration in pedagogy and teaching, because I knew that was what I wanted to do. But I started working for Car and Rainbow, and we travel on Thursdays. And if I missed more than 2 classes, my grades would drop. So I just dropped down to my BA. Yeah, sorry. But I came out, something that was important to me is that I'm going to invest all this money into a dance career, whether I'm performing or not. My income has to come from the entertainment industry. That was super important to me. And that was the best advice I've ever gotten. Only take jobs in the entertainment industry to help build your resume, help build your connections. Well, what do you mean? I'm saying teach, work for a dance competition, work in a yoga studio. All these things, it's not necessarily all entertainment, but you're being around and surrounded by dance. I got to meet all of you guys because that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't want to be, and there's nothing wrong with this at all. I don't want to be waitressing at 27, at 26. That's not what I went to school for. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. I've worked at Ulta Beauty. We all know that makeup store, yes. I worked at Ulta starting in college, and that was like one job I had. That was my extra income, hauling boxes at 4 a.m. for 4 days a week, putting in shipments so people can buy lipstick. Yeah, so I mean, most of my income coming from the dance industry. But, sometimes we got to supplement that because it's a hustle, Competition industry, we're only seasonal, so. Hit me with another question. Ask me. Ask me about anything. You can ask me anything from the previous seminar, too. I'm here. Yes? You apply on the website. They usually hire late fall. Again, it's not guaranteed. Yeah, and it's honestly whatever your dancer, whatever path is best for them. There are people who start at Car and Rainbow at 18. I started at 20. And I've been there for 6 years now. And it's whatever's best for them. And a lot of people, we tour starting in January. If your dancer is really serious about wanting to do school, that's the wonderful thing about undergrad. You can do it for as long as you want. You can literally take 10 years to complete a degree. So if your dancer only wants to do school in the fall and tour in the spring, do it. Because I really would like to get my master's at some point, and you usually have to complete your master's in 2 years. Some of you would probably know that better than me, right? No? Not true? Okay, 2 or 3. I'm like, do I really want to stop my life right now for 2 or 3 years? Because some are year-round, right? Yeah. I don't really want to do that at this moment. But undergrad, take your time. And dancers are allowed to change their mind. We put too much pressure on them at age 18 to know what they want to do the rest of their life. And I'm also going through this weird phase right now. Yes, I love dance. I want 100% still want to be a dancer, still want to work in the dance industry. But I'm also I'm also being pulled like, oh, maybe I like to work in production more. Maybe I'm interested in audio. So there's nothing wrong with starting slow and starting small. We have to let all that hearsay behind us. And we're all different. If we were all the same type of person, we would all be doctors, or we would all be teachers, Yes. Start working on set. Are they interested? So when I went to school in Chicago, I worked as an extra on Empire, Chicago Fire, Chicago Justice, Chicago PD, all the Chicagos. I was in a Netflix series called, I don't really remember, but Orlando Bloom was in it. Just getting on a set as an extra. And also, this is how you can pad your resumes when they're young. Sure, I wasn't a lead, I was an extra. I got paid minimum wage. I worked crappy hours. I was on set one time. My second time ever working as an extra, I was on set for 18 hours. Miserable. So, trash. But that's okay. But at least, when you put that on your resume, you're A, taking up space, and B, they're getting on set. Do I like the hours? It shows you can show up and work professionally on set, even on your dance resume. Okay, am I paying attention while I'm on set? Okay, what's the difference between a creative director and a choreographer? What's this lighting person doing? What's the PA? Who's the PA? Who are the PAs? What are the PAs doing? All these different things. It starts by getting onto set. Yeah, please. I know up until last year, Artists Simply Human, the convention, they take volunteers in the cities they're in. That's one, for sure. I just did an interview with Curtis Sprung. He was on the last season of World of Dance. Maybe you saw him. He was a soloist. He's always talking about, what really set him apart in the industry. He's insane. I think he's one of the most talented dancers I've ever seen in my life, period. So what set him apart to be so successful in the industry? He started off in the concert dance industry, like we were talking about, in pure modern dance. And then he became a hit sensation on television. He was in the studio all the time working on insurance forms. How he has so many successful businesses, he's learning about insurance forms and liability forms. And, I have to have a waiver to drive these tutus from, for a professional company, I have to have a waiver to drive these tutus from our rehearsal space to the actual unit, show space. Theater. What am I saying? A theater. All of these things. Like if your child really wants to work in this industry, performing or not, even if you go to school for dance and you still want to work in the industry, there's 1,000,001 avenues. And sometimes we don't always see that. We see what? Dancer, choreographer, right? Do we see, working in a theater? Do we see traveling? Do we see all of these different aspects? Adrian, anything else? Start getting on set. Start small. There's a lot of everybody nowadays wants to be a creative, right? I want to be a photographer. I want to be a videographer. I want to be an actress. There are things shooting everywhere. And we can also talk about this in the social media seminar. You can create your own stuff. Do you know how to edit? Do you know anything about lighting? All of these things, start small. I'm from literally 2 hours north of Detroit where there is nothing. I'm surrounded by farm fields. Like, I came from the places you guys are talking about. I know. The best way to get exposure, and how do I continue to get my kid exposure? How do I continue to get my kids in front of working choreographers before they even move to LA or New York? Go to conventions. I know they're expensive. Again, this industry is not cheap. We know this. Competition fees are outrageous. But if you're really serious about it, the last thing you want to do is move to LA, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, wherever when you're 18 and have no connections. Yeah, college is a great place to start, meeting friends. That's all networking. But getting in front of choreographers at a young age, a lot of the dancers who are successful in this industry were on Protégé, who are assistants on convention. And how do you get on convention as an assistant? You have to go and you have to attend. I know sometimes competitions have rehearsals on weekends, but dip out early or see if you can go, usually they have free classes on Friday nights, before the actual event starts. Go to those even if you can't be there on a Saturday or Sunday. It's like putting in the time and really, how bad do I really want this? You can make it work in any aspect, but how bad do I really want it? Do I want to put in the time and the money? Because it's expensive. Anybody else? Yes. Those are the college names. Commercial programs. Yes. So anything you would see, Ariana Grande, Britney Spears, all that type of dancing, meaning they're training in jazz, they're training in hip hop, they're probably training in ballroom, they're probably training in tap too, versus a lot of the modern dance programs, you're training in ballet and modern all 4 years, and that's probably it. And then you could take electives. So, I was so sad. I want to be a commercial dancer. I wanted to be a commercial dancer since the age of 16. I went to a modern dance program, took modern and ballet every single day. I was miserable, which is why I was unhappy. I wasn't unhappy in my city. The opportunities were endless in Chicago. That's where I got, my resume wet. That's where I got my first professional paid dance job. So all of these things, I was unhappy because I didn't take a jazz class for 2 years. Anytime I went to take a jazz and hip hop class, I had to go outside of school and pay for it myself. Don't know what that was. It's okay. And I also think if you're trying to also build your dancer's resume, wherever you're at, go to the nearest big city for a month. Maybe you have connections. Go to a Chicago, go to a Atlanta, and take classes at these open studios. If you're in Detroit, there's one that just opened I believe it's called Release. I know we have Michigan people in here. Yes, I talked to, a couple people. Yeah. There's a studio called Release. They just opened Open Dance Studios. Any other questions? Yes. Show them exposure and get them in the room. A lot of people don't know they don't want to be on a modern dance program because they've never seen a modern performance. A lot of people don't know they want to be in lighting because they have never touched a ring light. Things like that. Like showing them, and it's process of elimination. Yeah? I don't like peas. I don't like peas, so I'm going to have carrots. It's as simple as that in a certain way. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question, Jimmy? In the dance industry, no. Because you're more likely to book a job the more experience you have. Are you a really great tapper? Yeah, you can go up for tap auditions. Can you rock jazz and you can do 1,000,000 pirouettes? You can go for jazz auditions. If you can slay hip hop, you can go for that. If you only do contemporary, that's fine. Be the best at that. But you're just going to have more limited options. So I think exposure to anything in the industry, even if you just aren't the best at it and you can just do it yourself and you haven't experienced at that, you can go to an audition more confidently. Ask me a question. Yes. It's an internal process. and they have to find their purpose, and they have to know to do they have to get rid of it. If it's an issue for all of us. Jimmy's in the industry, I'm in the industry, and sometimes we hear a lot of crap, and we have to let that go. And a lot of people went home during COVID who couldn't make it as a dancer, just to be real with y'all. Like, the best time to move to LA is right now, because things are auditioning and everything is booking right now. There are a million streaming platforms right now. They're booking a ton of dancers on a ton of things. There are not that many dancers here right now because they couldn't last. I shouldn't say that in a mean way, but they went home. So they have to be able to let that go and know self-worth. Okay, I'm good. And you have to have that conversation, and maybe you're that support system. That support system is my mom. 2 years ago, I was like, Mom, I'm moving home. I'm done with LA. I'm not happy. I don't want to be here. And something in my mom, it's that mother's intuition, was like, no, honey. She knew in that moment somehow that she needed to convince me to stay. Not convince me, but reassure me. And maybe it's just you and her, and you're on this path together.
Good for your mother.
I know, right? I love my mom. I gave her such a hard time. Oh, I love her so much. Any other questions? Hit me. We got, yes. That she tries stuff. Anything she's interested in. And that kind of goes back to your question. Try stuff. Get them to try stuff. If they're interested in, I want to be a fashion designer. Okay, go work in the mall. You have to start at the bottom. Now we're here, right? Go work. If anything they're interested in, just they can't sit on their bum. Yeah, if they want to travel and go do that, I think traveling is amazing. Go see the world. For gap year, there's one in New York. I don't know if it's considered a gap year program, but there is a program called TAPS. I don't have a lot of information on this, but it is based in Las Vegas. There are certificate programs. There are a handful of certificate programs, but they're not necessarily gap year programs. That's not how they market them. So Millennium Dance Complex with the red wall. We've all seen these videos with the red wall on Instagram, yes. They have a certificate program. I know they have one where it's a certain amount of time, and they also have one where it's however many months you want. So maybe she wants to come to LA and try it before she goes to college. She could do that for 5 months. Come out to LA and try it. Millennium Dance Complex, MILLENNIUM Dance Complex. It's probably 20 minutes from here. Also, IAF stands for I Am Force. They have a certificate program. They're getting it back up and off the floor. They kind of took it down during COVID, but they're getting it back relaunched. Also, the other big studios here, Playground LA, that's in Melrose. They only have you work the front desk and you take classes for free. They have that sort of program. And then there's also T Millie, work study program, that's what it's called. T Millie, which is also like another 10 minutes from here. That's where I take class at the most. You also get that professional footage at the end of class. Work study program. You work the desk for free, you get free classes. So people do that a lot as well here. And we had a lot of studios close in LA during COVID. Edge Dance Program, probably heard of it. Maybe you've heard of it. That was like the #1 program to do. But speaking of programs, the best one in the United States, hands down, is the Broadway Dance Center one in New York, the professional semester. They have 3 different sessions of that. They have like fall to December, January to May, and then they also have a condensed one in the summer that's 3 months. And then Steps on Broadway, which is also in New York, they have a phenomenal one as well. And those are certificate programs. They're not marketed as gap year programs, but they could always do that to try it. Do I really want to move to LA and do this? Do I like how much training I'm going to do? And sometimes I know the Broadway one, they get college credit for it. They can if the school allows it. Are we alive? Okay, good. Are we liking it? Are we learning a lot? Okay, that's what's important.